נשמתי בחמלה שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה נשמתי בחמלה שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך Welcome, lovers.
Hey, everybody.
So good to see you.
Oh, it's wonderful. See your sweet faces.
I love to start with that expression of gratefulness, and there's a kind of a secret of gratefulness is that whatever we're grateful for is connected to the source. Like the source brought that to us. And so by being grateful, we are binding ourselves to the source of whatever we're grateful for.
Yeah.
And if you want to just like look around your room right now and see, or look out the window, and if you could find something that you are grateful for, and imagine that whatever it is there's a line from that to its source. It could even just be a color. It could be even a fragrance. But it is connected to source. And this act of gratefulness is what, binds us, connects us up to the source of what it is. And
Yes.
yes,
It does.
it does. And that's why it's so energizing to be grateful.
That's the channel I want to be hooked up to all the time.
So there is this this flow that we're trying to connect into. And we're going to be exploring that through this idea of covenantal love. But before we continue, I want to ask everybody to go grab a piece of paper and an old-fashioned pen or pencil. So, because at some point later, we're going to need to write something down that is going to get channeled to us. So take a moment, find your something to write with. So the reason this week that I started to get kind of obsessed with trying to understand this idea of covenantal love is Alone, you're looking, you have such a look on your face. What?
Just was looking at the chants coming up, and it was like, whoa, that one and that one.
Your faves. Your top 10 list, top 4 list.
So this, so the first chant that we're doing, comes from the Song of Songs, of course, and right before it, there's a line that says, "I was asleep, but my heart was awake." And then, there is something that happens. There's a tiny little place in us that is awake, and then there is the force or the voice of the beloved is suddenly, aware of that awakeness within you, and it is knocking. It is knocking. It is calling us. So the verse says, "Call Dodi Dofek," and last week, Yafah Schnitzer reminded us that the Dofek is also your own pulse. So that knocking that God is doing is happening from the inside as well. It's like it's the beat of your heart. It's the pulse that is in you. It is always knocking, but we don't always answer the door. But when that voice of the beloved is knocking, and says these words, "Open to me, open to me." I mean, like, wake up, open to me. And then there are these 4 names that call us into our aliveness, our awakeness. And those words are Achoti, Rayati, Yonati, Tamati. And it's translated as my sister, my friend, my dove, my pure one, or my perfect one. But when the commentators of the Song of Songs looked at those 4 names, they said, "Oh, this represents the pathway of covenant." It kind of tells a kind of a history between us and the beloved, of how we were called into our awakeness through those qualities. So my sister, it's not just sister, literally sister, but it's like that which is my own flesh, my secret identity in God revealed to me as myself. It's like so close. And my friend is suddenly this love is stirring in me and causing me to reach out to the divine other. And when that word, my dove, a dove was considered like a very special among birds. So the dove, and on our, I just have to, this is a little aside, that on our wedding day, these 2
the mourning dove showed up.
No, they weren't mourning doves. They were ringnecked dove. 2 doves showed up on our porch.
They were happy doves. They were not mourning doves. Ring-necked doves.
I always think about those doves.
Yeah, that's right.
And that we'd never seen them ever before, and they showed up on our porch on our wedding day. So my dove means like that which is like special and precious. And when I hear that name, my heart begins to melt in the sweetness of encounter and connection. And then the last name, Tamati, comes from that word tam, that pure, simple one, the pure one. And when I hear that name, I just melt into the one who has embraced me. So there's a process happening of coming onto this path of covenant. So, we're going to chant these as a way of walking that path ourselves, of mapping it out inside us. So as I was, kind of trying to find different, like, what is covenantal love? Because I know, there's something about God's unconditional love for us that we kind of like live in, bathe in, it nurtures us. It's such a machaya. And yet there's this other kind of love that our tradition gives us, which is called covenantal love. And it's something else, because it's not that it's conditional, but it is calling us into our own power, into partnership with the divine. It's calling something from us and potentially empowering us, lifting us up into our own divinity. So there is, I was looking for different definitions of covenantal love, and I found this one from Bradley Artson, who says, Judaism understands love to be covenantal, the dynamic and persistent integration of the inner emotion / virtues of affection, empathy, desire, yearning, and delight with deeds of tzedek, shalom, and bracha. So this dynamic and persistent integration of those inner qualities with the outer kind of deeds, and those three categories: tzedek, deeds of justice. This is what covenantal love calls us to, deeds of justice. Shalom, which is the process of integrity and wholeness, and bracha, blessing and even well-being. So we are, it's this dynamic and persistent integration. So I want to think about this covenantal love as we walk this pathway. And that's why we have our pen and paper, because by the time we're through, we're going to be listening for what is being called. God is knocking at the door of each of our hearts, and we might as well answer. It's not going to stop knocking, but we sometimes, kind of like get so distracted that we don't hear it and we don't respond to it. And so these qualities of tzedek, shalom, and bracha are kind of ways of response. So I want to just ask you to sit back, become receptive, just open up your heart to a possibility of hearing that call, and then responding, in the very same moment of your hearing it, and walking a pathway towards that dynamic, persistent integration of the inner and the outer. Dodi, Dofek,
Pitchi-li.
God says, open to me. Dodi, Dofek,
Pitchi-li.
Dodi, Dofek,
Pitchi-li.
walk the path of covenants by entering into these qualities. Achoti, Rayati, Yonati, Tamati. Achoti, Rayati, Yonati, Tamati. Kol Dodi Dofek, Pitchi-li. Open to me, open to me. Kol Dodi Dofek, Pitchi-li. Kol Dodi Dofek, Pitchi-li. Kol Dodi Dofek, Pitchi-li. I'm walking the path. Achoti, Rayati, Yonati, Tamati. Achoti, Rayati, Yonati, Tamati. One place inside her heart is awake, and he's listening for that knock. Kol Dodi Dofek, Pitchi-li. Kol Dodi Dofek, Pitchi-li. Kol Dodi Dofek, Pitchi-li. Kol Dodi Dofek, Pitchi-li. Achoti, Rayati, Yonati, Tamati. Achoti, Rayati, Yonati, Tamati. Kol Dodi Dofek, Pitchi-li. The beloved is knocking. Kol Dodi Dofek, Pitchi-li. Kol Dodi Dofek, Pitchi-li. Kol Dodi Dofek, Pitchi-li. We respond. Achoti, Rayati, Yonati, Tamati. Achoti, Rayati, Yonati, Tamati. Breathe into that awakened heart. So as that awakened heart receives the knock of the beloved, the pulse, the beat of aliveness, it then has the power to awaken the rest of you that is numb or distracted, and the philosopher Franz Rosenzweig says, love brings to life whatever is dead around us, maybe within us as well. Love brings to life whatever is dead, whatever is numb, whatever is kind of
Cut off.
Cut off, yeah. So we rely on that little piece inside of our heart that is waking up, that is hearing the pulse, and the beat, and the response really of that awakened heart is to open our eyes to become the beloved, to become the friend, to notice the beauty and the source of that beauty. And so it felt like the right practice to do is to be able to say, Hinach, yafah, Rayati. So this friendship that I am cultivating inside me, that allows me to reach out to the other, whatever the other is, whether it's the sky or the tree or the person, to reach out from inside you and to be able to befriend what is before us. And I think that's part of stepping on into this covenantal love, this dynamic, persistent integration. So it's not enough to feel it, to receive it inside you. It's got to find a manifestation, an expression. So I thought this would be a really good way to begin our expression of covenantal love, the acknowledgement of beauty. And I often chant this in these three different ways. The first time I chant it, I'm chanting it to everything that's beautiful in my life, and I am lifting up that beauty and befriending my own life. And the second time I chant it, I open my eyes and I look. Whoa! I look at you, and I find a face there, and I want to just pour out that recognition and make a covenantal connection between me and that beautiful face. And the third time I chant it, I close my eyes and I imagine that God is covenanting with me and acknowledging my unique part in the cosmos. So, first, to everything beautiful. Hinach yafah Rayati. Hinach yafah. 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 And open your eyes eyes and look into one of these beautiful squares and chant, seeing that beauty, calling forth the uniqueness, the covenantal love. Hinach yafah Rayati, Hinach yafah Rayati, Hinach yafah, 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 Hinach yafah Rayati, Hinach yafah. So close your eyes and imagine that God is chanting this to you, seeing you in your true beauty and uniqueness, calling you into covenantal love. Hinach yafah Rayati, Hinach yafah, 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 Hinach yafah Rayati, Hinach God is knocking, calling us into our power. And really beauty is a pathway of power. Because as we step into that sense of our own unique beauty, we release so much of what keeps us powerless. Judgment, despair, scarcity, lack, kind of falls away in the radiance of that unique beauty that we are and that has been seen by the beloved. So just breathe into that power a moment, and it's not the power of the ego, it's the power of the soul that is connected, that is bound to that oneness. So in the last step of the pathway of covenant, we are called my pure one. And I think when that call happens, it's like we are awakened to our identity of as souls, beyond all of the other, kind of layers of identity. At the deepest level, we are souls, and each morning, the liturgy, we affirm that soul that we are is essentially, absolutely pure and still connected to its source. And then we're going to have to do the kind of circumcision to clear off some of the layers that accrue over it that keep us from living from that pure soul. But I want to just to step into that place of soul. And, the words Elohai, my God, Neshima, this soul, Shanatata, be that you have placed in me, that is me. Tahorahi, it is essentially pure. And I speak to that pure soul and I say, oh, pure soul, in you I see endless possibility. Suddenly, I am not the finite being I thought I was. There is the sense of the infinite is unlocked through that acknowledgement. So sometimes when I chant this, I begin with a kind of a visualization of myself as a newborn baby, and I know that baby's still living inside me, just as pure as it always was. Elohai, Neshima, Shanatata, Bia, Taharahi, Elohai, Neshima, Shanatata, Bia, Singing to that pure soul. Elohai, Neshama, Shanatata, Bia, Elohai, Neshama, Shanatata, Bia, endless Close your eyes, bring your attention to the breath, the Neshima breath that will connect you to that pure soul. Breathing all the way in. And from that depth, breathing out again. Just with the breath, allowing yourself to become radiant with that purity at the center, shining out. And I think it's with this pure soul that God, the Beloved, makes the covenant, partners with that aspect of our being that is already awake in us. So this, there are in our tradition there are three signs of the covenant, and by signs, I think it also means three kind of avenues through which we access that covenantal love. And one of the signs of the covenant is Shabbat. So Shabbat is this kind of a spaciousness that allows us to sort of let go of like a lot of extra concerns and come back to center and become receptive to the divine flow. And that's what Shabbat is meant to do, sort of like stop a lot of the momentum of life and kind of relax into this endless possibility that is the soul reality, kind of letting go of some of the ego concerns, really. So Shabbat becomes a sign of the covenant. It becomes a pathway to covenanting, with God.
It's important to make that extra spaciousness for Shabbat because there's the extra soul that comes in on Shabbat. So we got to make space for it. So
Soulfulness, yeah. The second sign of the covenant is the rainbow. And the rainbow is this like incredible thing that happens when opposites converge. Like when you think of rain and sun happening at the same time, it's
making colors, making beautiful colors.
Well, so something happens when our duality breaks down, when what we think of as like, no, it's sunny, no, it's rainy, they come together in an impossible place, and that convergence of opposites, the kind of like the paradox of them, creates this. It kind of explodes into this diversity, like ultimate every color of the rainbow, all of it, and so that's a sign of the covenant. Somehow that opens, that I think it breaks down our dualistic thinking and opens us up to beauty and the convergence of opposites. And that where covenantal love can then flow. And the third sign of the covenant is circumcision. And I think there's an old paradigm and there's a new paradigm of circumcision, because I think it doesn't make any sense that a sign of the covenant would only we would only have half of us be able to have that sign.
Oh, really?
Really?
That makes sense.
So there is an alternative understanding of circumcision, which is the circumcision of the heart. And it's written about it in Deuteronomy and in the prophets, who kind of know that that's the true circumcision, with the understanding that there's these layers that accrue over the heart, which are made of our kind of defenses and, our defenses.
We've been hurt.
Right. And so that protection, the thing that we do to protect ourselves, also keeps that flow from happening. And so there is this kind of clearing away of layers and layers of those protections that we don't need anymore. And it's called the circumcision of the heart. And that's also a pathway of covenantal love, the possibility of empowering us to become partners with the divine. So I want to do a practice, and this is where the writing will come in, that there is a, I think this is Jeremiah, right, Jeremiah, says Natati et Torati bekirbam. I have put my Torah into their innermost being, v'alibam mechtavena, and inscribed it into their hearts. And I think about that Dofek, that the beating of the heart, but also in the heart there is. It's written in the heart, and it's written in each moment. It's not just written and then that's it. But it's always being written in the moment. It's because it's a dynamic, persistent integration that's happening inside us.
Living Torah.
Yeah, so that Torah. And so I've been doing this practice this week in preparation, and sometimes surprised at what comes out, because in the what I do is I'll just ask before I chant. We can ask this question: what is kind of like what is required of me? How am I being called? Is it tzedek, shalom, bracha? What am I called to in order to step up to in how I will manifest this love? And sometimes the answer is surprising. So I like to kind of clear away my thoughts about it and then just do the practice. And what we'll do is we'll chant it, for about 5 minutes, and then we'll stop and look inside our hearts and say, how am I called? What am I called to? What is awakening in me through this call to covenantal love? And what is written in my heart, in my deepest place of being? And then just the first thing that comes, write it. We'll write for a minute or two, and then I'll go back into the chant. Cool?
Yeah.
So, I always kind of bring the question up first, and then I give myself to the chant, these magic words. Natati et Torati b'kirba, Natati et Torati b'kirba, Li'aliba et kavera, Li'aliba et kavera, Natati Torati b'kirba, Atati et Torati b'kirba, Li'aliba et kavera, Li'aliba et kavera, Natati et Torati b'kirba.
Achoti b'kirba Ve'aliva et kavena Ve'aliva et kavena.
Close your eyes. Breathe into the heart. You might even place your hand on your heart. Breathe into the heart. And just ask the question, what is the instruction that is written there, that is in my heart? How am I being guided at this very moment? And looking into your heart, just write whatever comes to you.
Natati et Torati b'kirba Natati et Torati b'kirba Me'aliva et kavena Me'aliva et kavena.
So, I think it's important to just to be able to share and have this witnessed. So if you're not staying on for a breakout group, just find someone where you are to share it with. But if you want to stay and just share what came for you in that guidance from inside your heart, we'll break out into groups for just 10 minutes, and I will send you. So everybody who's leaving should leave, and everyone who's staying, oops. Let's see. Okay, and I'll call you back in 10 minutes.